Hey, Thomas.
Hey, hey.
What makes you want to bring lucid dreams into the spotlight?
I'm fascinated with like an evolutionary perspective that we are developing consciousness, that consciousness isn't like a static thing, that with increasing consciousness we can, you know, have ever greater freedoms and experiences. Uh, and I'm fascinated by us developing, so I think lucid dreaming is part of that development. Self-awareness in the dream state. And if we can master that and consciously function in our dreams, I think that totally shatters our current paradigm. And we start knowing ourselves as not just physical beings, but also spiritual beings. And I think that'll have some really huge ramifications on our waking lives and how we treat this experience too.
Lately, during this evolution of you realizing this, once we get past the whole lucid dreams is flying and all that, um, what is it that you are seeking right now in your lucid dreams?
I like how you mentioned flying because that's what we always. How many years have we spent flying? I feel
No,
like
but flying gets perfected. Nick and I were talking about that. This didn't make it into the interview, but we were talking about how great flyers we've become.
Uh,
you know?
you've mentioned this to me before, and often I've thought of you in my lucid dreams because when I do a full standing flight, I'm always like, oh, this is so Jennifer right now. Like you're doing like a Magneto or some sort of
I know,
storm
right? Totally.
flying.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I think it's really, um, right now, what am I doing with lucid dreaming? I feel
What are you seeking when you're when you enter lucidity, or in your intentions before you enter lucidity? What it is that are you trying to just go with the flow and let what comes, or do you have a specific task in mind, or maybe something from your personal waking reality that you're trying to figure out, or for your
yeah,
book? Who
I,
knows?
yeah, I've been more letting it just go or going with the flow of it, seeing where it goes and exploring it like that. I've also been curious just from a personal standpoint of stepping into my power and asking about my power. I guess getting clear with what I'm supposed to be doing and using my lucid dreams for that. So asking questions. And every time I'm in a lucid dream, I'm constantly testing and experimenting. I'm really fascinated, and I always have been. I remember I was always like writing in a notebook in my dreams, like how different things felt when I went through, or
Oh,
like how
interesting.
I can create things and what actually is happening when I want to create, like, say, a baseball bat in front of me, or uh, once creating an apple, and how did I actually do that? Because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that's what I'm always curious about. Like, what actually am I doing that's making it work sometimes and other times not?
Wow.
But, like, what is actually happening? What are the dynamics that you need to do to create an apple or change the dream scene? You know?
Yeah, I feel like in lucid dreams we have to relax a little bit.
Ah, oh, it's so effortless. Have you come into that where, like, you've tried something, say you've wanted to create or like conjure someone up or anything like that, and then you've come into like a roadblock?
Interesting that you mentioned this because I was actually in a lucid dream the other day, and I couldn't change anything. It was just not happening, and I've never, ever, ever been able to not change something. And
Hmm.
I started realizing that this wasn't probably a lucid dream. I probably just woke up into the consciousness of another dimension or another realm, almost like an OBE.
Whoa.
Because in an OBE, it's real people, real settings, and you can't really change stuff like in a lucid dream. So
And
that hmm?
you were trying
I
to
was trying to
change things.
be in like in a lucid dream. I was trying to do my lucid dream usual. Sometimes I, alter this, that, or sometimes I, um, just some inner work, something, or
Mhm.
outer changes, or I just try to test it. It's almost like my reality check. Like, is this a lucid dream? I can change something. And I was treating it like a lucid dream until I tried to change something, and then I was like wondering why the beings were looking at me the way they were.
Mhm.
And I remember asking, okay, I was like, this is strange. So I looked around. I was like, I can't fly, which is
Huh.
even weirder because I tried flying, but I could walk in a weird way. Like things would come to me, almost like OBE-ish, but it was not an OB. It was so different, and I was wondering, what is this? Well, what is this? So I went up to somebody and I said, well, what year is this? I remember that's the first thing that came out of my mouth, and this guy looked at me like, what do you mean? It's 2017. I was like,
Huh.
really? I was like, and what are we doing? He said, we're migrating. We were all climbing this mountain, and I was like, where are we migrating to? He said, Seda Nova. I said, what is that? I was like, is that a park? And they all laughed at me. A park? Like
They're so rude.
it was
They're
like Machu Picchu kind of place. But this woman was really nice to me. She was like, "Mm, just, just go back." She said, "Just go back." And I remember thinking, "Okay, I'm gonna go back. Like, this is obviously not where I'm supposed to be or something." So,
oh my.
so I decided to change it into a lucid dream. At that moment, I was like, "Well, if everything is connected, then I can probably slide into a lucid dream because this is not a lucid dream." And I saw the transition. It was like I was able to see. I've never felt the transition before like this in my life. This was like I don't know. It just blew my
Any
mind.
sort of like sensations or sounds during the
It was
transition?
visual, everything. It was like pulsation, sensation, and then the ground changed, and everything changed, and then it was a lucid dream. But I was not. It was so weird. It's like my consciousness shifted.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty bizarre, but uh, not flying, not being able to do anything that I usually do in an OV and lucid dream totally caught me off guard. Because I
Can you
was
say,
100% lucid. I was like, you know,
if you were to go back to that dream, would you want to do anything or ask anything specific, or is there anything in mind now that you'd want to be curious about?
well, I wouldn't be so focused on, oh my god, if this is not a lucid dream, what is it?
Okay.
I feel like I would want to explore it differently this time because I was kind of freaking out. I was kind of
Hmm.
like, um, fly.
Mhm.
Like what's going on?
Right, right.
Why is there snow everywhere? And I was just too confused. I was like, where am I? Like, why is everybody like millions of people climbing this mountain with staircases? Stone staircases.
Ooh.
It's just bizarre.
Oh, that's beautiful though.
It was, but I was so like taken aback that I wasn't like in the beauty of it. I was more confused and wondering like I just woke up in this place, and I remember that when I became lucid too. It was insane. I remember my consciousness just traveled and woke up there. It was like different, nothing like I've ever experienced before. The whole
Hey,
thing began different.
we were talking about an evolutionary perspective. Maybe that's the whole climbing the mountains and raising our consciousness.
Right, right, totally. I feel like it comes in cycles, the revelations of our own dreamscape and lucidity. So this is how, you get your next book and all these things. It's like if we stayed the same, it's like our authenticity changes. Authenticity is not a, a thing, a place, a static place. It's like an ongoing goal and process. We're constantly shifting our perspective within our authenticity.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
that's
so much
awesome.
trust and faith, right?
Uh huh, uh huh. And I
I
love
often
it.
want to figure everything out and then do it, and then I have to remind myself that life is also spontaneous, and you know, going with my current perspective is going to be different. 8 months from now, I'm going to have totally different ideas, and
Exactly. So not to get attached, right?
yeah,
It's true. It's like we want to be like, okay, this is it. We package it, and then it's like, wait a second, now this is it, and then it's like constantly this other thing. So, but every step is eternal in my eyes. If you can make something that's eternal, I feel like it never goes out of um, out of not style, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. I was thinking about that actually this when I'm making videos recently. I was thinking when I'm writing them as if they are going to be timeless or eternal, so
Right.
that even after, say 50 years from now, it could still be really relevant and inspiring.
Yeah. I know, I totally agree. You know, this is how I make music. Did you hear that?
Was it?
A cat.
You don't have a cat?
No, but there's a cat that follows me everywhere in this neighborhood. It's an orange cat. It's a Garfield.
Ah,
It's always at my doorstep. Another thing that I wanted to ask you is, do you feel that when you're in a lucid dream, you have to be more in the moment than you would be in waking reality to stay there longer, or do you think that that's just like energy and it runs out, or what do you feel makes? Because I also question this myself a lot. Like, what is it that makes consciousness stay more or last in a lucid dream? Like, what is that?
I think we got to train our focus because every time I've been lucid, I mean, you're present, right? You're awakening to the present moment of a dream, and you're looking around. You're saying, "Holy crap! Right now, in this moment, I'm dreaming. I know my body's sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm completely aware in the dream state."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that takes a lot of it's like this mindful balance because if you get
Excited.
uh, too excited, you're going to wake yourself up, and if you get too not reminding yourself constantly, like, "Hey, buddy, you're in a dream. You're in a dream." You'll just kind of fall back into an unconscious dream or a regular sort of unaware dream.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
is this mindful balance of being present. For me, it really helps for me to use something to focus on every once in a while.
Right.
I'm
Right.
very tactile, so like anytime I see or feel it starting to fade in the dream, I always just go up to something and I feel it and I'm touching it. And I'm like,
Oh, really?
ooh, always reminding myself that I'm dreaming because oftentimes I've been like, oh, look at this flower. And then I'm like, flower. And then I lost it. But ultimately, I guess being more present.
Mm-hmm. What does that say about being present here? Like, isn't that weird? It's like, in order to maintain lucidity in a lucid dream, we have to be present, completely present. Like, there is nothing but the present.
Mm,
And in waking reality, I feel like the reason why we lose lucidity or consciousness in waking reality is because we can't be present. Like I think practicing to be present is really important, and that's
yeah.
that allows for consciousness to stay. Like somebody once asked me, like, how can you just be conscious all the time? Almost like saying, Jenny, come on, like be unconscious sometimes. And I am, sometimes I'll fall like little pockets but it's very rarely. I'm always conscious. Um, but I think it's a practice, like anything. Because I always practice being conscious. I practice always like noticing, like when I notice that things start happening to me that I'm like upset about, that for me is like, wait a second, back to
Using that sort of
consciousness.
as a trigger. Yeah.
Yeah, so shit can't go wrong, um, because if it does, it's an immediate trigger. Exactly I'm like what? Like
Hmm.
I need to get back into the flow, back into consciousness, back into dreaming. But just like you would fall out of a lucid dream, you know what I
Yeah. Don't you feel like it's also effortless though? Like when I think about it, I'm always like, okay, I'm being present. Uh,
mean?
and I'm just being, I then start thinking like I have to do something or I have to like be present and it's an action. It is, but it's also just the most easiest, effortless, like you don't need to do anything. You just look around and come back into this present moment right now and not
Yeah,
judge things and not try to label things, but let life kind of flow through you. And it feels great. It feels refreshing and you kind of get out of your mind and into the heart and into the present moment. I think
definitely.
those are great practices just for any
Yeah,
human.
and you're right. It's not like that's what I'm like. What do you mean? How can I be conscious? For me, it's not hard. It's
Mm,
easy because I'm such a big dreamer that and I have been doing this, for consciously for about 30 years. So it's almost like I just learned how to be present. Why? Because I had a bigger dream world than I had a waking reality world.
hmm.
My journey, my what do you call it? My challenge. You know how we all have a challenge in life. My biggest challenge has always been to be here in the waking reality because I'm
Yeah.
very much there in
Yeah.
the cosmos, multi-dimensional, But
Hmm.
my waking reality was my biggest challenge because I was always in very conscious of other realms, and I was all buried in that. And um, to bring it here was my journey of all these years. To bring it here, to bridge it here, and that's what this is all about for me
Yeah. And I think, integrating into all aspects of your life
right
in
now.
that, you enjoy talking about this stuff, you enjoy exploring it with others and helping others on their journey. Um, yeah, ultimately, it's always about bringing those insights from the multidimensional, from the dream world, here into the waking world, because we got to remember we're also just spiritual beings walking around here.
Exactly,
You
exactly.
know, they were the exact. Yeah, we have a body, but we're also powerful dreamers that just look outside and you can tell that we've created all of this.
And yet everybody feels like it's just happening to them, and it's crazy. I don't know. How did the book, A Field Guide to Lucid Dreaming, or the first version, come to be?
Well, I was living with my other two authors, Dylan and Jared, and we had worked together a while back before. We had a production company for a couple of years, and we were roommates. And we always talked about lucid dreaming, so all of us were always fascinated by it. Jared and I were sharing our experiences a lot with it, and we would tell Dylan, and Dylan at the time had not had a lucid dream yet. Um, so we kind of took it upon ourselves to teach him how to lucid dream, and it was
That's cool.
awesome. And he had his lucid dreams, and we were both all like, "This is something that should be more widely known." And I gave him some books, and it wasn't until the idea that we had to do sort of like a travel guide or like a manual for the dream world um, that we decided to start writing the book.
Yeah, what a fun idea to do like a travel guide for that rather than something
Yeah,
else.
I think that was what the engine that drove us to do it because we were it was about teaching lucid dreaming from the inside of the dream state or inside the dream world rather than on the outside being like dreams are this and using our left brain and logical this and analytical stuff, which there is plenty of that. We wanted to kind of take people on this adventure and go to the dream world, and then it's from within it that we learn about and master it.
Definitely.
Because I don't actually see it as a book now. I see it more as like
Hmm,
some sort of
program?
interactive app or web sort of thing. Because I love the idea that it's night and day, and I really want to play with this idea of, switching the moon into the sun, using my fingers to kind of swipe to make it night, and then the nighttime portion comes up. So I kind of want to play with different mediums than a book. I was just gonna say, because I was thinking about this the other day, because we wrote it, the three of us together, which was kind of interesting to do because we would, I would take a stab at a chapter and then it would kind of go through this filtration process. Um, but ultimately, we would have Jared read it. And I don't know if you know Jared and his awesome poetic Carl Sagan voice.
Yeah.
And if he read it and it sounded good, we knew we had something.
Oh, that's hilarious. I've never felt the unknown so tangible as I do now.
Mm,
Um, it's really like at an like edge of consciousness, the edge of dreaming, the edge of so many things. I feel like 2013 has turned into that for me. I don't know about for you. Do you feel like after the whole 2012 hype and everything, do you feel like this year is different, or do you feel anything different?
I was actually just thinking about this yesterday. I was like, you know what? Now we're on the other side of it, and it
Exactly.
almost on a on a subconscious level, like, okay, now we're just kind of waiting for the collective world to catch up to our new understandings. Because the more people I meet, all of us absolutely know we have this knowing that we're a lot more than physical beings, and that we're capable of dreaming anything and creating a new world.
Hmm.
Necessarily have are stuck in this current way of doing things. I feel like we're just kind of waiting for it to collectively happen, but I think we're already doing it. We're doing it here when we're talking about dreaming, and yeah, I think it's going to happen without us knowing it. We're going to be like 2030, and we're going to be like, oh shit, yeah, uh, the world has changed, huh?
And I feel like more and more my real work is coming out. Um, like I actually feel really in tune, and I don't think I've ever believed in myself more than I do today. You
Hmm.
know, I really, really believe in myself. I almost see what I what I feel in my imagined, in my imagination, almost like it's inevitable.
Mm.
You know, it's inevitable. Like that means that, and that reduces doubt because there's no more doubt. It's like, I'm sorry, but that just has to happen. You know, it's
Yeah,
no longer like maybe it'll happen. You know, it's like no, I'm pretty certain that it's
yeah,
inevitable that this is gonna happen. So, and that brings me to the question, and that is, in your ultimate imagination and daydream, and in your heart's desire, what do you see yourself doing, and where do you see yourself
that's awesome. So, in my heart of hearts desire, what do I see myself doing? Ultimately, I think it's about connecting the dots for me and for others. Um, I think right now, I think people don't dream because uh, they don't have any. There's a lot of people are starting to have interest in it, but the people who don't and are saying like, "I don't dream. I don't
doing?
even care what you're talking about."
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because we don't understand why they're important or what they have to do with reality and life. Um, so I want to connect the dots to that because ultimately we're not talking about the dream world and the waking world as if they're even separate. We're talking about us always in a present moment and us as who are we. And I want to connect the dots that we're dreaming this reality as well. And it's not some like hippie, like, oh, we're dreaming, but it's like, wait, we really are. And we can get lucid just like we do in our dreams and create this world.
So past like it being like a tool,
Yeah.
and more into like a reality shift. Like this is what it really is.
Yeah. What does it feel like to embody like the dreamer? What does that mean to be like, oh, I'm the dreamer. So I live in a world that is not, it's not separate from me, and I'm the dreamer.
I live in that constant, um, realization over and over. I'm in a constant wow, and it's like I just get tickled. You know what I mean? It's like yay, one more,
Yeah.
one more
It's the
person.
simplest, it's such a simple insight, but it's like if
But
you
people, but
really,
people fall out of it.
oh, of course, yeah. I do too,
So
though. Forget like,
the thing is how to maintain the practice is okay. You get the realization, but then what's the real practice? You know,
so you're saying the practice is the
keeping
what?
it,
The keeping.
the keeping it.
Yeah.
Hmm. How do you
Okay.
keep it? You know, that's the practice. And um, but I always tell people, it's possible to keep it, and then eventually you're so present that you don't even have to label it.
Hmm.
It's just a state of being.
Like this is sort of we're telling a new story of who we are. Because what does it feel like to be a dreamer? Because right now that sort of connotations means like, oh, you're a dreamer, like you're aloof, you're not grounded, you're not in reality at all.
I find that very funny
Yeah,
when people say that.
to be a dream pioneer. I mean, these are right now. It's at a time where it's not really well understood, and to be a pioneer is to chart on, uncharted terrain, I guess,
Hmm.
and to move forward and to go into the unknown and then to bring back these insights.
Speaking of names, how did Dreamlabs? I love that name. It sounds
Oh
like
man.
experimental school, you know, I love it.
Yeah, well, the dream of Dream Labs is actually it is a school, and it's almost like you go there. Everyone goes there at night when they sleep. Um,
Oh, cool.
Sort of like a Hogwarts or like a an X-Men Academy. You go and you when you're dreaming, you enter into Dream Labs, and it's this night school that you can walk around and explore and master your skills of dreaming. Learn a thing or two from some teachers and then ultimately take what you learned at Dream Labs and go off into the vast landscape of your own dreamscape,
Mm.
equipped with this sort of like empowerment that you know how to kind of handle different situations.
Yeah, wow, wow, wow. I love it. I love it. And how did the name happen?
Um, oh, how did it happen? I don't know. We were stuck on Dream Labs. We were just, that was almost like from the beginning. Also, dreams are the most universal thing you can get to. So we're not talking about religion here. We're talking about, I feel like it's a platform for us to discuss some real spiritual principles and insights, and they relate to everybody. And it's not
Hmm.
about dogma or anything.
Hmm.
And I keep coming back to that vision I had recently, that past weekend. And like, if we want to create a world where dreams are talked about and part of our society, it's about creating that space within our own self. So can we fit the entire world
Oh my God.
and that world in us? And I don't know if we're ready yet, but we're still. I think we're expanding, and as we expand, uh, our heart does, and our world does, and we're going to help this world dream. We're going to remind the world that we are dreamers, and
Definitely.
that's going to allow us to take our future into our hands again, and we're going to know ourselves to be boundless.
And it's important. It is so important. Like, remember our first webinar, The Future of Dreaming? I mean, that title said it all, you know.
Yeah,
It's like, what has
yeah.
changed in you since then? Like, do you feel is the future of dreaming?
Um, the future of dreaming. I definitely see it being like part of our culture. So it's, finding a healthy and respectable place in our society. I think we need to teach kids how to develop these skills, foster that development in them. But also at the same time, we're going to be talking to kids, but also the kids in us, because the adults who have the kids, they want to know their dreams and they want to know that they're important and that they play a role in reality. Uh, and maybe it's going to take talking to their inner child to kind of convince them of that.
Mm.
Um, but I see people actually, I see like classes, I see tons of books and even maybe schools where people get degrees in dream dynamics. And it's like a profession, just like you help someone eat healthy or you're a personal trainer or whatnot. But ultimately, for the individual, I see it being, hey, really embodying, I'm the dreamer, and really embodying what that means, that you are the dreamer. But dreaming and creating your dreams every single night. Um, but then taking that insight and wisdom into our waking lives and kind of molding this world around us. And also, like, I talk to people about developing this skill and maybe talking about why.
Mm.
I often find myself saying, like, this is an investment in your own life, and this is something that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life. You're going to dream every single night, whether you're aware of it or not. So this is a skill that's an investment that it's a relationship you're going to have for the rest of your existence. So it's not just a fad. It's not something that you're like, cool, let me get really cool at dreaming and then I'll just go back to being a banker. Like you can be a banker, but you're also, once you begin lucid dreaming or even just paying attention, I think you start seeing yourself and the world a whole different way.
What is the next projects in Dream Labs?
We're now, we just had a meeting actually this past week, and we're really we're trying to find that engine that we found with the book, which was taking people on this journey to an actual real place. And it's from this place that we talk about lucid dreaming and we learn about the dynamics of it. And that was the fuel for the book. And I really see that's the fuel of the website, where I don't want to just put out content that's like, because there's so much content on lucid dreaming and anyone can find it. But I really like what really gets me going, what I want to see is taking people to this actual place within the dream world, painting that picture, telling stories as if it's this real place, which it is. So Dream Labs is becoming like this night school that you can go to. So we're working on videos and sort of like a tour through Dream Labs, using video.
What were you doing before Dream Labs? Before the book was it even?
I graduated and then I had a job as a creative director doing like commercials, like spec commercials.
Hmm.
It was a really cool gig, and then I quit it and moved up here, 6 blocks away, and I didn't do anything. I was writing a book called The Dynamic Man.
What was that about?
It was about a new type of man that is not about seduction and getting ladies. And I kept seeing like all of it was about manipulation, and it was terrible. It's from the head, and the dynamic man was from the heart, and he was all about motivating people instead of manipulating them, and inspiring them instead of, insulting them.
Sounds like a great story. All right, Thomas.
All right.
Take care.
Goodbye. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Take care.